All right. Assalamu alaikum, Ummah. Welcome to Serious and Sincere, where we do matchmaking for Muslims who are serious and sincere about finding their mate. We are going to interview Brother Darius Asad'uddin Ducray. Did I say that correctly?
That is correct.
This evening. Okay, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, originally born and raised from New Orleans. Previous collegiate strength and conditioning coach, still in the industry, in the government sector. I've lived a few different places, Texas, Houston, El Paso, New York. Well, technically I lived in Jersey, but I worked in Manhattan.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Never married, no kids yet, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I took Shahada July 27, 2014. I kind of consider that like my second birthday.
Mashallah.
Always studying, reading, and yeah, I guess we'll get into more of the specifics later on.
Inshallah. Out of all the cities you lived in, which city had the nicest people?
Oh wow! I mean, I'm going to be biased, so I'm gonna name two. New Orleans were known for a hospitality, you know.
Okay.
However, I was pleasantly surprised, and I still have maintained positive relationships with a good amount of the brothers in New York. So,
Okay.
you know, some people say that they're harsh or whatever. It's like, no, you just got to work your way in there and understand the culture.
Okay. Okay. So what did you come away with about the culture?
I mean, I mean, you have a multitude of people, so I think that there's more of an air of closeness. I mean, I felt, you know, once you're allowed in, it felt like home to me. You know, I was really treated like home. It was the first experience that I had deeply with African American Muslim communities, not individuals.
Okay.
It was the first time I fell in love with bean pie. Alhamdulillah. You know, and just the indeptitude of Islamic knowledge that exists still, you know, within our community, the sheikhs and the sheikhs that exist within our community that, you know, not all the time get the just due, I will say, in the public, I guess the public acknowledgement, you know, something like that.
Okay. Which city did you in which city did you come the closest to getting married?
That was when I was in Houston.
Okay.
Was when I was in Houston. It was a year after I took Shahada. So I actually I wanted to take time off. I didn't want to deep dive because I know some people do, and I really wanted to, you know, as a husband, you are the imam of the family, and it doesn't make any sense for me to take that role if I don't know how to make salat, understand salat, you know, the basic fundamentals of deen. So it just didn't make any sense. So that's something that I took very seriously.
Alhamdulillah. That's a big deal. Okay. So how many surahs do you have under your belt at this point?
Now, not including the adhan, let's see, Fatiha, Ikhlas, Nas, Falak, 6.
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, Qatar, yeah, 6.
Okay. Which ones do you prefer to recite?
I recite them all.
Okay. So you make sure you get them all in.
Yep.
5 times. Okay, 5 times a day. Alhamdulillah. Now, how will you describe your ideal Muslim's personality?
So do we want to use the example of the mothers of Islam on this question?
We should. We can, you know. Yes. All right.
So, my two, number one, Khadija Anha and Aisha Anha. I think that they have the attributes collectively. Now, of course, no one's going to be 100% of what you're looking for, but I think the attributes that they exude collectively work well with my personality. The selflessness of both women, but also, you know, the fact that Khadija Anha, I think that there was a divine identification of who the Prophet ﷺ was. Her devotedness to him, or devoutness to him, her, so, you know, absolute support. These are the things that I grew up seeing even in the women in my family with their spouses, with their husbands. I like a little bit of a spitfire, a little bit, you know, and I think that, you know, Aisha Anha, you know, really exuded that. Both women are highly knowledgeable. I mean, even there was a sister, I believe her name is Noordine Knight, and I supported her. Like she came out with the book of the 40 Hadith of Aisha Anha. You know what I'm saying? And then she was countlessly referenced, you know, in terms of the Sahaba, to really understand, you know, the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So these are things that I really value. Those two type of personalities.
Okay, so which one of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu would you say best complements those women personalities?
I don't know if I want to touch that question. What do you, can you expound on that?
Like, for example, Umar radiallahu anhu, he's usually known for being a pretty serious, almost severe personality, right? But looking into his family background, you find out he comes from a dad. Well, his dad was almost, someone to say, yeah, for all intents and purposes, he was abusive, right? Like, he was abusive towards his servants. He was abusive towards his son. He was known as a pretty harsh person. When you look closer at Umar radiallahu anhu, you find out through the different Sahaba that he was a very compassionate person. He loved his community.
Umar, you mean Abu Bakr?
No, I mean Umar. So that, you know, it's like certain pictures are usually presented about certain Sahaba.
Are you asking pertaining to my personality?
No, I'm asking because you asked. You said you didn't really want to go into that, right? But I'm telling you about this Sahaba because of the way he's usually presented. Right. But when you look into his story and you listen to when you read about how the other Sahaba felt about him, right, he was not a severe person. You hear the story about how he smacked his sister, right? When he heard that she had converted and her husband had converted. You hear about how he went up in the house and he went bananas and he was going to kill the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But people don't really go into how he became one of his most beloved companions.
So I don't necessarily...
Which of the Sahaba? Or you could say Abu Bakr, right? Because a lot of what we don't know about Abu Bakr, sometimes you don't hear a lot about how he was like, he put his life on the line.
No, he had familiar.
He had moments where he was like, hey, I'll cut your head off. You know what I'm saying?
I'm familiar. I'm just trying to understand your question in terms of, are you looking at a comparison and contrast of personality types between those sisters, the mothers, and the Sahaba, or that's what I'm trying to understand.
I'm asking, which of the Sahaba will you most closely identify with personality-wise?
Oh, so I got three for you. So,
okay,
Abu Bakr anhu, I would say Umar anhu, and Khalid Walid anhu.
Yes. All right. Mashallah. Okay. Yeah. Why Khalid? Why Khalid?
I'm a firm believer, like in my family, like we're raised. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. I was raised to be a leader. I was raised to, but at the same token, you know, it has to be understood, to be a great leader, you must be a great follower. There came a point in time when we look at, you know, Khalid Radwan, who that he followed the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He obeyed Umar Radwan, who, you know, when he took over as the Khalifa. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to understand your lane, you know, and that's really important to me. I know my lane, and I know what I'm great at. I know what I'm good at, and I know where I can improve at. I think of myself as being very analytical. I try to think things through as much as possible. I mean, of course, we plan, but Allah's the best of planners, right? You know, but I think that's a part of being a man, is to be able to see things that other people don't see. To think about scenarios and possibilities, because that's the way that you know, strategy. Like some of the great, I've read books on The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I mentioned the other day about the philosophy of Stoicism, Plato, Socrates, understanding, like I love the stories of great African warriors and kings like Shaka Zulu, for example. Mansa Musa in his own right. I mean, no one can compare. People are still trying to say, oh, well, this is the richest person in the world. You can't even touch the wealth that Mansa Musa had. It's just impossible, right? So these are the things that I do my best to kind of look at and try to understand and implement in my own life.
Okay. Taking from those people, would you have any problem taking advice from your wife, or would she be one of the first people you look to for answers?
It's collaboration. You know, it's about point of view. It's the way that I look at it is like I want to look and see. I mean, of course, we have to utilize certain examples, but my thought process is like, okay, well, here's what I see. What is your view? And then let's come together. What is going to be, you know, if she wants to go ahead. I don't want to use that triggering S word that so many people don't like this day and age.
Submission?
Yeah, you said it, not me.
Okay. But we're Muslims. We don't have a problem with submission.
Well,
I think the issue is subservience, but okay.
Right. So, I mean, so my thing is she wants to respect my leadership. I'll use the term leadership, then that's fine. But I also want to ensure that she feels she can voice her opinion as well. I don't want her to think that it's my way or the highway.
Right, because you like Aisha, radiallahu anha, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So if she could go to school to learn how to be the wife to make you happy, what should she learn?
Sabr.
Okay.
Okay. That's a great question. I'm a simple person, so I don't know if like the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, silly. You know, just sabr, you know, observation skills. I think that I'm very expressive. Even if I'm not verbally expressive, I have facial expressions. Like, you're going to know what I'm thinking probably by the looks that I give.
Okay.
Understanding that, you know, like I am old school in terms of the way my morals and values, and I think that it really aided my transition and guidance to Islam, alhamdulillah. And that comes with certain things, right? It doesn't come with, you know, it comes with masculinity. Like, she needs to have an understanding of what masculinity is, not this new age, everything that we do is top. No, like, I'm tired of that stuff. Like, understand, like, you know, and understand what a gentleman is. You know, walking on the sidewalk, you're gonna walk on the inside. I'm gonna be on the outside. You know, understand I'm going to pull out the chair for you. I'm going to open up the doors for you, and being gracious and showing gratitude, because I enjoy doing those type of things.
Okay. Should your future spouse know how to cook well?
She ain't got to cook, well, we cook, but she needs to know how to cook.
Okay.
have some skills, be able to. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, let's be realistic here, right? this is not to say that men should not have any dealings with the children. I I dream of telling my wife to stay in bed and getting up in the middle of the night and seeing about the babies. I think about, rubbing my pregnant wife's feet because they swollen or something. Like I want to spoil her like that, But also, women are by nature. You guys are made through Allah's divine wisdom to be nurturers, right? And so, who deals mostly with the children? It's Mama Bear. Right, so me knowing that a woman can cook means that she could feed herself, she could feed our children. She ain't got to cook no. I can make the shrimp creole, I can make the jambalaya, I can make the gumbo. That's what we do. I'm gonna get on the grill. You know what I'm saying? But it's about reciprocity too. There's times I want to cook for her, I want her to cook for me, and we can cook together.
Okay. Okay. Now, should she be tall or short?
Height doesn't really. I mean, prior to Islam, I had a girlfriend that was 6'3", and I had another one that was 4'10". I'm 5'10". I'm 270 solid. I train 4 to 5 times a week. I'm a martial artist and everything, so that's very important to me. So height doesn't matter to me.
So you don't mind if her roundhouse kick is higher than yours?
That's cool with me. My ego, that doesn't hurt my ego because I know, like I said, I know what I'm great at, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I can improve at. She might be able to help me improve in certain areas as her, and I think that would be a healthy marriage.
Okay, so what's her ideal body type for you?
I do prefer slim to athletic, and when I say athletic, like Serena Williams. I mean, I've worked with athletes. I'm an athlete. Like I said, health and well-being is very important to me. I don't want to be in a situation where my lifestyle is burdensome and oppressive to her, and I become resentful to her because she doesn't share. She doesn't have to be 100% at the same level as me. I don't expect that, right? Because this is what I've gathered my education in. But, being able to share that because at the end of the day, it's Sunnah. It's technically Sunnah. You know what I'm saying? That we're supposed to take care of ourselves, to be able to, because it gives us the ability to stay in long for Taraweeh. It gives us the ability to, handle day-to-day stressors and so on and so forth. So, I mean, it's Sunnah.
Okay. In terms of maintenance, self-maintenance, gosh, how do I phrase this? She shouldn't have body hair like that either then, right? Or are you somebody who prefers body hair?
What you talking about, like under the arms and like, nah, we gonna keep ourselves maintained here. I'm a stickler for hygiene.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. She shouldn't smell like gumbo. She should smell like beignets.
You know what I'm saying? Can I get a little lavender vanilla bean?
Okay.
Can I get a little honeysuckle melon strawberry kiwi up here?
Okay. Be spicy, smell sweet. Right on.
Okay
then. Ideal age range.
Ooh, this is gonna come out interesting. So I'm gonna say it like.
And why? Yes. And why? You have a preference?
I do. But again, like well, there's some personal reasons why I care about other people's feelings, but at the same token, yes, I do have my preference. I don't mind a younger sister, like, so I would say, like, I can go as low as 25. Usually between like maybe 35 to 37. I'm just thinking about the biological health of having children, and the reality. So I have studied medicine. I went to medical school for a short time. Unfortunately, some things occurred due to Hurricane Katrina, and it wasn't the direction that Allah had for me. But it's something that I'm trained, educated to physically train pregnant and postpartum women as well. That's a part of my duties at work. And so for me, it's something where understanding what happens to a woman's body during conception and throughout the process of pregnancy, that's very important. Now, again, we plan, but allows the best of planners, but I also want to take some logic with that as well.
Okay. Okay. So, how would you take over a nutrition plan?
Well, I don't like to take over. I like to have conversations. I mean, I started my career in undergrad in 19 in personal training, and then dealing with female athletes, learning the learning some of the best communication styles as a man to women. It's about having that conversation, and it's about, producing research. Let's sit down and look at this. I'm not a fad gimmick person. If it, you know what I mean, like, give me bona fide research, 5 to 10 years to validate this. Give me manovers and anovers. What was your control group? What was your experimental group? Let's go over these things, and let's not go based off of, conjecture. Let's not, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. So for me, in terms of, if we're speaking in terms of a marriage and a marital relationship, it's about sitting down, and as well as leading by example. You know what I'm saying? So, like, as we say in New Orleans, when we make groceries, we don't buy them, we make them. It's about give and take. You know what I'm saying? It's about having those conversations. If I meet somebody who's more so on the vegan tip or whatever, don't expect me that. But I don't eat a lot of red meat. I'm predominantly pescatarian. However, I eat some poultry, and if I eat red meat, it's lamb and goat. You know what I'm saying? I'm very particular of where I go. I try to eat, halal, zabiha as much as I can when I'm able to find it. But it's about sitting down and, like, let's go over our goals. What are you trying to accomplish? What is the best means? We know that nutrition is 70% of the results, or 75% rather, and then the training is 25%, right? So let's look at those things. What are some things that we can cut out? What are some issues that we have in our community pertaining to nutrition? You know what I'm saying? That can curb those things, diabetes and, heart disease, hypertension, et cetera, and et cetera.
Okay. Are you aware of the blood type diet in connection to what you're talking about?
I'm aware, but I have not read on it, so I don't like to speak on that which I do not know.
Okay. Do you know your blood type?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. All right then. So we'll leave that there. How do you incorporate the Sunnah into your work?
Ooh, well, number one, I think for me, it's the way that I treat people, my interactions, my moral stance. There's things that I don't play with. I'm not gonna, and I've always been that way. In the way I communicate, and those professional relationships that I have with the those who are non-Muslims, is like, so at work for me, I don't bring up race, religion, or politics. I don't talk about it. I'm here to operate in this profession. Now, if somebody asks me questions, and I've been in that situation before, I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be cordial. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I try to do my best in. And how do I exemplify being a Muslim, and as well incorporate the principles that we are supposed to stand 10 toes down on?
Okay. Are you willing to marry women of a different race or ethnicity? Put on a shirt.
So I am open. I will say that I am open, but I have to preface that by saying that I'm always going to look at a Black woman first, no matter where she's from. If she's a part of the diaspora, but that's just that comfortability piece. That is that understanding piece. No, I've never been married before. I saw that question. And I'm going to try to do my best to not look at the audience questions. If it was a marriage of a different race, which I'm not against stuff, the conversation of culture has to come up. It has to be understood that one culture does not supersede the other. We're going to have to, when in terms of children, the conversations and being able to teach and to have I say I'm gonna say it this way, to humbly be, I don't want to say prideful, but to immerse oneself and to understand, because there's nothing wrong with knowing one's lineage. It's the problem of being a nationalist, right? We're not supposed to be nationalists when it comes to being Muslims. Now, you could be pro your own, you could be pro as long as you're not anti others. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? So I say that to say, like, I am very proud of the people that I come from, the lineage. I am very proud that I've had a family who have maintained an oral tradition as to where our family comes from and what we've done and so on and so forth, and I want to pass that on to my children and as future children. I don't have children yet, inshallah, but I also want, to embrace, like, they need to learn their mother's side of the family too. Because now you have, if you don't know who you are, what's that saying? A man that stands for nothing falls for anything, right? If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So I want them to know these things because you're coming together in these communities. And as well, even if it's an intercultural marriage, if the sister is West African or East African, if she's, Afro-Latina or Latina, those conversations are going to have to be understood and things. I mean, myself, I am multi-ethnic. I identify legally and otherwise as an African / Black American man. I'm also Creole, and I also know my ethnic lineage, but that does not take away from me being a Black man, especially here in this country.
Okay. Okay. How do you see the next 6 months, 5 years, or 10 years?
Um, well, inshallah, 6 months.
Yes.
I'm prayerful that I'm able to link up with one of the brothers at the mosque who's from Senegal, so I'm hoping to take a visit there. I'm very interested in what possible business opportunities that may be there. In 5 years, definitely, I pray to have married, to have, my goal, my prayer, my dua, my supplication is 2 to 3 children. To hopefully establish some connections to,
In 5 years, 2 to 3 children?
inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. Um, to establish connections there in West Africa, I'm predominantly or mostly like towards Senegal and the Gambia. And there's some things, some people that I've been seriously talking to. So that's why, another reason why I want to go there physically. I would like to have the conversation of the possibility of, repatriation and or retiring, either or, if it's Allah's plan. I would like to have those things kind of set up. Of course, the big thing in our community is building generational wealth. And even if it's not achieving that, I want to start the process in cultivating that in my children. And there's some things that I've thought about, and I think that there will be positive things to educate children in doing. Like, for example, one of my goals is for my future children, inshallah, upon graduating high school or after obtaining a vocational trade, so then that way they can establish their own entrepreneurship. They can also give back to the Ummah, right? And as well, like, okay, now you're going to go and let's get an associate's degree within your field. Let's, ensure that you get a trade that's going to be within your 4-year degree or your baccalaureate degree, right? Because now you're learning that field from the bottom up, right?
Okay.
And then with the goal, I'll just use the example. If they get licensed as a plumber, we're going to work on establishing where you can be sitting in the classroom and making money at the same time.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So those are the things that I look at.
Do you consider love languages, or yeah, would you consider love languages as passing generational wealth to your children?
Do I consider
Would you
passing
consider fluency in love languages? Would you consider that as passing generational wealth to your children?
my love languages?
Sure. Or developing their own love languages.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think any parent wants to give a child or their children that which that they did not receive. And alhamdulillah, like I've done a lot of interpersonal work growing up on myself, and it's a constant thing. Um, I mean, I value physical touch is my first. Tied for second is quality time and acts of service. Below that are words of affirmation. I don't care. Gift giving kids, I mean, gifts, that's easy, right? You just got to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? But I don't believe in materialism. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you can't, you can't go, it's not going to come with you in the grave. You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
But leave it as a
Well,
charity.
right, no, and absolutely. But I mean, and that's not to say you don't do anything nice for somebody.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that I can never match with someone who values gifts over everything else, because that's not what I value. And to me, and that to each their own. I'm not judging them. But my perception is that's a materialistic person, and I would not want my children to be materialistic. And I think that that's an ill that we have in our own community. Looking at what do they call it? The tools or points of success. What's the, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this person got a Mercedes Benz and this person got a Camry. If anything that I've learned about wealthy people, a lot of rich folk is driving the Camry. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not the, it's somebody who values the look of a vehicle rather the utility of the vehicle. And I'm just using that as an example. However, it's not to say that I'm like, okay, if my wife is looking at a particular magazine and she's like, "Ooh, I like this," I'm going to take a mental picture and then let me get the finances and then let me go ahead and slide and order that real quick. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. What if their idea of gift giving as a top love language isn't to receive gifts but to give gifts? Like you have some people who love to be extremely charitable. They wouldn't be so quick to accept a gift, but they love the idea and they love the act of giving people what they need.
And I think that would be something that I can meld with. Again, though, the conversation is the way that I express and receive love is not going to be the same as you. Right. So if giving gifts is the way that she shows love, but I also need to understand, how does she receive love? You see what I'm saying? Okay. So if I understand how she receives love, then that's incumbent upon me to be able to learn and to compromise and to cooperate to be able to do that. Because there may be times that goes back to your one of your first questions, and if she can go to school to learn, I forget how you worded it, to
make you happy,
to make me happy, then that's going to, that comes into compromise, cooperation, and sabr or patience, because I'm not going to get it right all the time. I'm human, I'm flawed, right? And she's not going to get it right all the time,
Okay. So is flexibility a love language too? Or is that under one of the other ones that's already recognized?
I mean, I think one would think flexibility goes without saying. I don't think it's a love language. I think it's a skill that we all should develop.
So that wouldn't be part of a self-care language? because you gotta have a love language for yourself too.
Well, I mean, and right, but that goes into like, I mean, I think that I'm gonna speak for myself. There's times where I do buy myself gifts because that's not important to me. So it's like I force myself to do that. There are times where I give myself words of affirmation that is important to me. Um, if I'm understanding flexibility, it sounds to me like showing mercy to yourself and to someone else. If I'm, and please correct me if I'm misunderstanding.
Patience. Yeah, it's patience and giving people room to walk on the path the law created for
Yeah,
them. So,
yeah.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean,
okay.
but it goes into communication. It goes into communication.
But some people don't love like that. Some people's
True.
idea of love is micromanaging, which means y'all not compatible.
Exactly.
So,
But I mean,
yeah.
but I think, but that's the reason why, like, when I've met sisters, one of the that question either she or I ask is, what is your time frame to get married? What do you look at in terms of, you know, courting, right? Because as Muslims, we don't technically date, but we court, right? Because we're intentional people. And one of the things I always say is, I don't believe in jumping head first, but I also don't believe in dragging anything out. I want to have those conversations. I don't want to be enamored. And like, it's been 2 days, or we had two sit downs, or it's been, whatever. It might take, Allah knows best. It might be a month. It might be 3 months. I will say I will not exceed at my age, and I'm 41 for anybody, 41 years young, inshallah, I don't look it. I don't want to exceed. I was always taught, and this comes from my mother and the women in my family, and I believe that this is true. When I used to have female friends, I even told them, a man knows in 6 months if he's going to marry you or not. Maximum,
Really not.
maximum 6 months. Right? Because we should have, by that time, your representative should have fallen off. Who you really are should be exhibiting and being expressed. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to know. I can go to your people and ask references and so on and so forth. They love you. They're going to give you a good reference. And now me, I keep people around me, and this is not to knock nobody, but I always tell them keep it 100. Don't talk. If you don't think that you can talk me up, then don't. And I believe that I've garnered respect from my brothers having that, because they know that I'm the same way with them. And we check each other, and we exchange and compare notes. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, my going back to the question is like, by 6 months, I'm gonna know what's crack-a-lacking. You know what I'm saying? So it may be before that.
Okay. Okay, so what are those red flags and what are those green flags in the first 6 months?
So I will go. So red flags for me, deal breakers / pet peeves. Like going back to hygiene, baby. If you don't take care of yourself, it ain't gonna happen. You know. And I'm not a neat freak. I keep a clean crib. But like shower daily, please. You know what I'm saying?
Alhamdulillah.
There's things we can use for that. I wash my clothes weekly. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, so those are like pet peeves, borderline, like red flags. Someone that's a know-it-all, closed-mindedness. The need to be right all the time. To me, that's an insecurity. That's an unwillingness to learn. Someone that exhibits willful ignorance. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. That's why, like I said, for me, I don't speak on nothing that I don't know. So, and I use this example. If inshallah, if my intended or if my wife knows finances better than me, I'm gonna be like, here you go, you budget. But I'm
Mashallah.
a watch. I want to learn. Why did you do it like this? Why did you do it like that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now, we don't know, no man or woman know the hour, know the moment when we gonna be called, inshallah, to stand in front of our Lord. You know what I'm saying? So I wanna let's operate like that. It can be something that goes into learning. And I'm a continual learner. That is a green flag for me. So someone that has a zest for learning. One of the things I always say, like, I want a wife who has a level of education. The woman is the teacher, the first teacher of the children. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that she has to have a full baccalaureate or a master's degree or something like that. She can have a trade, but be proficient. I don't like the word efficient equals average CD grade. I like proficiency. I want to be as spot on as possible.
Really not.
So a continual learner, someone who has a zest for life. I'm an ambivert by nature. There's times I like to be by myself. Maybe I need to socialize. I don't want to. I want her like Mother Aisha, on her. Like, she would pull, you know what I'm saying? Like, pull me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that. But a red flag, social media for me is, so like my Facebook is primarily all Muslim. Brothers and people that I've met, people within certain communities. So I might travel somewhere. Like, I'm in North Carolina. I might want to go to DC and connect with some brothers out there. I might go to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Instagram is kind of like amalgamation of Muslims and people in the industry that I'm in my profession or what have you. But someone who seeks public validation, I can't deal with. I need you comfortable in your own skin. Someone who you can be fashionably, modestly dressed. You can show and exude elegance and grace and be attractive. But if you out here trying to be a halal thought, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it.
That hijabi over there?
I'm sorry?
That hijabi over there?
Over what you talking about? Over like, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you rocking Kimar, but your form and you showing that. Like, come on. And I'm not saying that you got to be overly prudish either, but as men, we have to practice hijab too.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it 100. I don't leave the house rocking a white beater. I don't feel comfortable. No.
Okay.
You know what I'm
You don't
saying?
feel comfortable. Okay.
Nah, because because of my frame, if anybody can know, it's like I have broad shoulders. I'm a muscular guy. So there's going to be, I wear 3X t-shirts. I mean, my arms are sizable. They're muscular. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, I still wear hoodies and sweats. I get to wear that for work. Again, she ain't got to be prudish, be fashionable, but come on now. Like, we've seen brothers and sisters, and I'm gonna go on both genders, brothers and sisters, to where they're wearing something where you might as well be naked. Like, we can still see what you rocking. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is like, if you want, my thing is, I want validation from my Lord, from my prophet, from my community, and then, also, but under the prophet, so something is my wife. I want her validation. I want her to want my validation. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes both ways in generating security in that marriage.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so you're not trying to be you're not trying to be considered a dayuth.
Nah.
You're not trying to be okay.
Nah.
Alhamdulillah. So she need to be on it on her own then.
But
be mindful on her own.
Correct, but we're also going to remind each other. We're going to work with each other.
Yeah. Okay. Garments. The garment work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have any hobbies or creative pursuits?
So I have been a spoken word artist, poet, labeled a wordsmith since I was a kid. I was a featured artist at one time while I was in New York. I enjoy fishing, martial arts, like I said, continual learner. I enjoy museums. I enjoy plays. I think I'm very much a Renaissance man. I want to get into hunting, inshallah. I love to garden in terms of like growing my own food. That's something that I've been learning. Also, learning about, it's called vermiculturing, essentially using earthworms to generate fertilized soil. That's something that I've been, tinkering in and learning via YouTube. God, what else? I mean, I'm pretty open-minded as long as it's within the confines of Islam. I'm not tripping, you know?
Yes. Sister asked, she mentioned Senegambia. Are you part of a Tarika from that area?
I am. I am.
Okay. Okay. Would you be taking these, what was the skill you mentioned about the earthworm? The earthworm, farming?
Vermiculturing, or
Yeah.
vermiculture.
Would you be taking that overseas, inshallah?
And inshallah, yeah, it's a thought. It's a thought. It's a thought.
Would you consider marrying a sister from over there? Like, you wouldn't consider going over there to get married?
I would, but at the same token, like I want to have that connection with people who have family there who can do their due diligence to ensure that my interests are protected. That no one is trying to come at me sideways and have ill intentions. So, you know what I'm saying? So yes, I am open, but at the same token, like I said, it's about, because I would expect her to want to speak to people that I know who can vouch for me as well. Her parents, or so on and so forth, her father. So that is something I'm open to.
Okay. Okay, final question. Do you have any family Ramadan fantasies?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you share at least one?
I mean, I just think about being able to wake up and um share suhoor with each other, to make food with one another, to read Quran with each other, to let's journal. Let's have our own personal like Ramadan journals, and let's reflect upon maybe something that's happened that day, or something, maybe an ayat that stood out to us. And let's build upon, what is your point of view, what is my point of view, how does it incorporate or fall into the sunnah, what does the scholars say. And let's be able to, one of the biggest things for me, and don't get me wrong, like I love the community that I'm a part of, but I want to experience not having, or not feeling forced to have to go to the masjid for iftar for the sake of eating with people. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm eating by myself. Let's being able to pray together in general, but then traveling. Let's go to the masjid for Taraweeh. You know what I'm saying? Let's invite some reverts over who may not have that support system like I've experienced, and I'm certain that there are born Muslims as well that experience that as well. It's not only just a barakah, but it's also a it's important to us. That's our community. We're tasked to not just grow community, but to maintain and take care of our community.
Okay. You have community fantasies outside of Ramadan?
I won't say, I don't know about community fantasies, but like revert care is very important to me in my experience. And I'm not, and anybody that's going to see this, I'm not speaking about all of the communities that I've been a part of, but there have been communities that did not give us a second thought as reverts. There's been communities that didn't give us a second thought as a Black Muslim. You know what I'm saying? And so that's very, very important to me. Because as a revert, you come in, sometimes you attach Islam to the Muslims. And when the Muslims are not treating you right, you conceptualize that as Islam is not treating me right. Alhamdulillah, I've been put in positions where I literally was separated from Muslims. So then I truly had to learn deen And then now I'm able to separate Muslims as the humans versus Islam, which is the religion and lifestyle, right? And so now, if I give salam to someone and they don't give it back, I have to understand, and that's a sin. And so maybe Allah's going to take some of my bad deeds and give me, give them to you, and I get your good deeds, But sometimes, that it becomes personal because we're literally leaving an entire life, especially as Black folk, right? Because our spirituality is a part of our identity and how we identify even within our own familial relationships. Some of us, beyond just race, are casted out. They are disowned by family, or they don't understand, and they don't make attempts to understand. That's important to me. So, alhamdulillah, I've shared that experience, but at the same token, I'm very 10 toes down. Like, I'm not going to eat that. I'm sorry. I don't apologize if you feel guilty because you didn't want to take the time to know that I don't eat pork or I don't eat pork products and so on and so forth. That's not my problem. That's yours. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also not going to serve nor cook those products. But I will find, and I will make other accommodations to make you happy. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is that's a thing that I care about, and that's something that I hope that my future wife would embrace as well. Like I said, she doesn't have to be 10 toes down. Give me 5 toes. Give me half a foot.
Ew. You want her hobbling?
I mean that metaphorically, of course,
No. Yes. Okay. You want to leave us with anything else, inshallah? Any final thoughts?
I don't know necessarily. I will say that, anyone, sister that sees this, inshallah, like, I'm very much so a teddy bear, but I'm a very protective man. I'm a very caring, loving man. I wear my heart on my sleeves. But I'm also like, I'm not one of these little soft day youthy kind of guys either. I'm not very, I hold my relationships very close to my heart, but I also will not get used, and I will not want to use someone else. I treat others how I want to be treated.
Okay.
I will never ask of anyone that which I'm not willing to give.
Alhamdulillah. You're not going to hell for nobody.
Nah, we good.
Right on.
Nah, we good.
Okay. Well, alhamdulillah, thank you so much for joining us and being a gracious guest this Friday evening, this Juma evening. And you all can look out for the video on Instagram and YouTube under Serious and Sincere.
Jazakallah here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen.
Peace, sister.